John Terry was a name that commanded respect and inspired fear in equal measure, particularly in the city of Benin and the state of Edo at large. As the notorious leader of the Eiye Confraternity, Terry's reputation for ruthlessness and brutality preceded him. His influence extended far beyond the confines of his institution, where he held the esteemed position of Ibaka, a title that signified his status as a high-ranking member of the confraternity. Rumors swore that Terry's power and authority weren't limited to his institution. Whispers spoke of him being the World Ibaka, the highest attainable rank within the Eiye confraternity globally. This alleged distinction only added to his aura of invincibility and reinforced his grip on the city's underworld. Superscript 1. Terry's rise to prominence was marked by violence and bloodshed, particularly in his dealings with rival confraternities. He was instrumental in the killing of several Black Axe members in Benin City, earning him a reputation as a ruthless and cunning operator. His dealings weren't limited to the confraternity world, however, as he was also alleged to have ties with politicians who would often enlist his services for dirty assignments. Despite his fearsome reputation, Terry's influence extended beyond the realm of violence and intimidation. He was a charismatic figure who commanded respect and loyalty from his followers. His popularity in Benin City and Edo State was unparalleled, with many acknowledging his authority and power. John Terry's demise in 2019 sent shockwaves throughout the city of Benin, particularly within the realms of the confraternity world. His death was a culmination of a long-standing feud between the Eiye, to which he belonged, and their arch-nemesis, the Black Axe. The deadly fracas that ultimately led to his demise was a testament to the intense rivalry and hatred that existed between these two groups. What made John Terry's death all the more remarkable was his reputation for fearlessness and invincibility. Unlike many of his peers, Terry refused to go into hiding during times of conflict, instead choosing to face his enemies head-on. This bravado was rooted in his unwavering confidence in his own power and the fortifications that protected him. Rumors abounded that John Terry possessed supernatural abilities that rendered him impervious to bullets. It was said that his body was fortified to such an extent that even the most lethal of projectiles couldn't penetrate his skin. This myth only added to his legend, striking fear into the hearts of his adversaries. At the time of his death, John Terry had been engaged as a polling agent for one of the major political parties in an upcoming election. His involvement in the electoral process was a testament to his growing influence and reach within the city's underworld. However, his newfound role didn't provide him with the immunity he needed to evade his enemies. John Terry's life was brutally cut short on Upper Ewa Street, off Way, in the heart of Benin City. His assailants, members of the Black Axe, had been tracking him for some time, eager to settle old scores. The events that unfolded on that fateful day would become etched in the memories of those who witnessed them. As the Black Axe members closed in on their target, they unleashed a hail of bullets in John Terry's direction. However, as the legend went, the bullets failed to penetrate his skin, ricocheting off him as if he were invulnerable. But his attackers were relentless, refusing to be deterred by their initial failure. In a brutal display of violence, the Black Axe members resorted to using rods and sticks to bludgeon John Terry into submission. The beating was merciless, with Terry's assailants showing no quarter as they rained blow after blow upon his battered body. In the end, it was not the bullets that killed John Terry, but the sheer brutality of the beating he endured. As news of John Terry's death spread, the city of Benin was left to grapple with the implications of his passing. The confraternity world was left reeling, as one of its most feared and respected figures had fallen. The circumstances surrounding his death would serve as a stark reminder of the violence and brutality that lurked in the shadows of the city's underworld. The murder of John Terry, the revered World Ibaka of the Eiye Confraternity, sent shockwaves reverberating throughout Benin City and its environs. His untimely demise sparked widespread outrage and grief, not only among his fellow Eiye but also within the broader community. Terry's popularity and influence had transcended the confines of his confraternity, earning him a reputation as a formidable figure within the city's underworld. The Eiye, still reeling from the loss of their leader, swiftly launched a reprisal attack against their sworn enemies, the Black Axe. This retaliatory strike was characterized by unbridled ferocity, as the Eiye sought to avenge Terry's brutal murder. In the midst of this chaos, a prominent Black Axe member, known affectionately as Africa, fell victim to the Air Lord's wrath. Africa, a devoted father of 4, was brutally killed around Efua Junction, leaving behind a trail of devastation and grief. His untimely demise served as a poignant reminder of the senseless violence that had engulfed the city. As the Air Lords and Black Axe continued to trade blows, the body count rose alarmingly, with no fewer than 8 lives lost in the ensuing melee. The city of Benin was plunged into a state of pandemonium, as fear and uncertainty gripped its residents. The incessant clashes between the Air Lords and Black Axe created an atmosphere of tension, with many innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The authorities, struggling to maintain order, were faced with the daunting task of quelling the violence and restoring peace to the embattled city. As the conflict raged on, the Air Lords and Black Axe continued to exchange blows, each seeking to assert their dominance over the other. The violence showed no signs of abating, with both sides dug in for a protracted and bloody conflict. The people of Benin City could only watch in horror as their city descended into chaos, wondering when the carnage would finally cease. As the Confraternity conflict raged on, a senseless tragedy occurred, claiming the life of an innocent bystander. Osoto Okongpola, the manager of a hotel owned by Ose's Odonwingo, fell victim to the brutal violence that had engulfed the city. His untimely demise occurred on a fateful Sunday night, amidst a hail of gunfire as rival cultists clashed in a deadly shootout. The circumstances surrounding Okongpola's death remained shrouded in uncertainty, leaving his loved ones and the community at large to grapple with the anguish of his loss. It was unclear whether he had been deliberately targeted by the cultists or if he had simply been struck by a stray bullet, an innocent victim of the senseless violence that had become all too common in the city. The conflict had descended into utter chaos, with both sides committing atrocities that would leave deep scars on the community for years to come. The violence was brutal, with numerous undocumented killings occurring in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the authorities. The city was gripped by fear, as residents lived in constant terror of being caught in the crossfire or targeted by the rival cultists. As the bloodshed continued unabated, it became increasingly clear that the Confraternity War was not only destroying lives but also ravaging the very fabric of the community. The senseless violence, the innocent lives lost, and the families torn apart all served as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of cultism. In the face of such tragedy, it is imperative that we stand together and vehemently reject the scourge of cultism. We must recognize that a life free from the shackles of cultism is a life worth living, a life filled with promise, hope, and the opportunity to reach one's full potential. By saying no to cultism, we can begin to rebuild our communities, restore peace, and create a brighter future for ourselves and future generations.